Ladies and gentlemen. And a very good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Sherrin Stand, the Marquee show here on Black and White United. Just a quick one before we introduce our new co-host. I'll go through the panel, but I just want to say sorry, Sean, I forgot to actually edit the intro and put the new photo of all four of us on there, so that's my bad. But first of all, Dan, welcome back. Another year. You excited or what?
Yeah, pumped. Can't wait.
Straight out. That's all I need to hear. Tatters?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to a 2026 where we'll see the emergence of some new and exciting Magpies, hopefully.
That'd be nice. Sean, welcome to the show. You're going to be joining us for season 2026. People would remember Sean from the watch-along that we did against the Adelaide Crows in the qualifying final, and he jumped on at each break and then celebrated after the siren with the winner's piss, which was pretty good. He was pretty keen to get back on. I think I was delayed 30 seconds on my stream to what was actually happening, and he's already jumped in the background celebrating, and I'm still watching the final siren. So anyway, boys, it's so good to have yous to have yous on. We've got a new sponsor for the show too, Ultrafix Surface Specialist. Julio has jumped on board. So, guys, please visit their Instagram. I'll put all the links and everything like that later in the description at the end of the show. So please give them a follow. We've got a jam-packed show tonight. We've got a little bit of an agenda. We haven't got too much of an agenda, but obviously with these shows, everything just free flows, and there's a whole bunch of things to get through. So to everybody in the chat, we've got Mick Sacco, the Magpie Army Chronicles in there, Mello's in there, Bozza, Champion Data's always in there. And we've also got Nathan from Nate Talks Pies who's joining the chat as well. So it is jam-packed, ready to go. But in tradition of the channel, and you boys have everything ready, I've got everything ready. It's time for the first of 2026. It's the first jab.
Shame on anyone who blew the champion.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
All right, Hatters, I'm not even going to go through everybody first. You're first in this one. I've got to hear it. I can't wait. I waited all day.
Okay, well, it comes as no surprise for my first jab for 2026 is the old mate Kane Cords. Yes, Kane, he's kicked off the season yet again with his traditional bagging of Collingwood. And after our loss, our massive 1-point loss to the Kangaroos on Monday morning, I hear Kane having a go at Collingwood because we played an under-strength side. There was about 10 players that didn't play for various reasons. Some trained, some were injured. And Kane seems to think that's a botched whole pre-season. Now, you can bet London to a brick that if Collingwood had played their full-strength side, he would have said, oh, Collingwood's too old. Where's all the young players? Why aren't they trying something? So, Kane, we know your agenda, Kane. It's simply there to cause clicks for SEN and Channel 7 and wherever else. You just use Collingwood as a vehicle to stir up media clicks. So that's my first jab.
Well said.
You're on mute, Andres.
You back there, Andres?
Oh, we've lost
All right. Sean, you take over.
All right. So my first jab is based around the AFL using us again for financial gains. And this time round, we have to compete with the NRL because they're doing things all over the world. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, they panicked and said, well, Collingwood doesn't want to be a part of round zero now. Let's go and find a team that needs the supporter base and needs the funding along the lines to kickstart the season. But also, let's go get the biggest club in the land, and we'll go, okay, you don't want to be a part of round 0, sorry, but let's put you in there and we'll give you a home game. We were happy to be out of it, but clearly our ratings, our rankings, and all that stuff, they need us to be a part of it for it to be successful and for us to push forward and actually help launch the season, because it's not really around without Collingwood in it, let's be honest, and the amount that we actually bring into the game. So I just feel like I don't think we should have been used to make a team relevant, and especially with how they've actually gone and traded and all that type of stuff. I felt like St Kilda could have stood on their own feet and given us an opportunity to just escape round 0, because everyone's saying we're too old, too slow, injury prone. Well, why not give us the extra week? Why make us play? And the only reason is for financial gain, really. And that's my first jab.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked that Craig Kelly stood up last year and said we're not going to GWS. It's about time, because we are the cash cow, so it's about time we did stand up, which is good. But I agree with that. My first jab, it was going to be about Nick getting stooged again, not getting BG in the State of Origin, but the John Newcomb decision just came up before we got on air, and he got off. I don't have an issue with him getting off, but I have an issue with the whole process. I was hoping with Greg Swan coming in, some footy heads, that things will be a little bit different. He's back. Yep.
Sorry, boys.
and-
I had a power failure. We had a power failure. Everything just cut out.
No.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, jeez, that's all right. Yeah, I'll just
Keep going.
continue.
Sorry.
So this whole lawsuit with concussion. So what the AFL are doing is quite clear. They're suspending players. They go to the tribunal and they'll get off most of the time if there's no concussion. It's a waste. It's a waste of time, energy, resources the club's got to put in. And what I don't like is the rule is if you pin both arms and you sling someone to the ground, you're going to get a week. However, it's not the case. So it's going to be another year of, tackles are going to happen. They're going to get suspended. It's going to get challenged. And I was hoping he would sort out some inconsistencies. But I just can't believe I can't believe he got called up for it. And 2, I can't believe he got off. It's got to be one or the other. Because someone's going to miss a granny. I'll keep saying it. Something's going to happen. And the tribunal is a massive mess. Has been for a few years, especially since concussions came in. So hopefully they fix it up, because we want the best players playing. Andre's
Sean?
back.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I do apologise about that, boys. There's a bit of stuff up to the first show, but we decided to have a bit of a power failure that's never happened before during the show, but everything decided to cut off, which was pretty shit. But Sean, have you done your first jab yet or not?
Yeah. We went through that.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
so that-
my one. So my one is, and this is just a bit more of, I don't know, people think that I've spoken to think that I'm a little bit entitled for feeling like this, but I went to the game against North Melbourne at Marvel, and I just need
Mars.
to Mars. Yeah, well, it was just as shit as Marvel, but I couldn't believe at the start of, like, as we were walking in, me and Eli were walking in, the security guards wouldn't let me take in a bottle of water. Like, you couldn't take in any liquids to the ground. So if you had a bottle of water, or if you had water for your kids or whatever, you had to literally pull the bottle of water out, and you had to refill it at the taps that looked like school taps at you would say at a primary school, but they had them there near the entrance. Then, or you could buy water or drinks or soft drink or anything inside the ground, and that would be at obviously an extra cost. Mind you, I bought the bottle of water down the road at the servo as we were walking in, and I just opened it in front of them, and they wouldn't let me in because it wasn't sealed. And I don't know of a ground that actually does that, or if they're that desperate to make money where they've done that, because it was just ridiculous. Eli had a fresh bottle of Coke. I had a bottle of water. Like, thank God I didn't bring I didn't bring a picnic basket with me or anything like that. But I just don't understand how desperate these people are to make money if I can't bring in a $3 or $4 bottle of water into a football ground. Like, it's just
were they stopping people with sort of like canisters of water? You know, the proper,
everything,
big,
everything. So if you had a canister of hot water or anything like that at all, you weren't allowed to bring in any form of liquid. If it was in a
that's
commercial
ridiculous.
bottle, if it was in a commercial bottle like Mount Franklin or whatever water, you could only bring it in if it was sealed. I literally just opened it as we were walking in, waiting in line. And they're like, sorry, guys, you got to throw it out. Like, all right, I get it if you're at an airport about to board a plane or whatever it is, but Jesus Christ. And the security was yelling at people. And I'm thinking to myself, like, are you guys for real? Like, we don't cop this at Collingwood Carlton at the MCG. Like, we don't even cop this crap. But anyway.
Simple thing is, mate, just don't ever go back there.
Oh, no. I'm the Western Bulldogs can have that shit. I'm not going back there. I mean, it was all right because it was only like an hour and a bit from my place, but I tell you, it's just that was pretty pathetic. I would have thought.
Just a bit off tangent there. There was 3 games there over the weekend. How come the Dogs weren't playing there?
Where did the Dogs play on the weekend?
I
I had
think
everything up here, but my computer turned off and everything, so I'm trying to reload it.
Did they play at Whitten Oval? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they are Whitten Oval.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can understand them wanting to play at Whitten Oval, but given that they're the ones who had their games moved from Ballarat because the ground's getting redeveloped, I would have thought that they would then play a replacement game, even if it's a practice match up there.
It was a really odd place to play football during the preseason, wasn't it?
Well, I think it probably had something to do with Foxtel having the ability to have cameras there for 3 games in a row. They would have liked to have a venue like that.
They're building a new stadium there, or a new stand. I think they need the cash.
Yeah.
I reckon they missed the trick. They could have actually started launching some games in Tassie, like around that area.
Yeah, I was there. I said the same thing on the weekend too. Why wouldn't you, like, you know, we've been able to, you know, get this Tassie thing up and running. The stadiums are going and stuff like that. Why wouldn't you promote it and get some of the clubs like Hawthorn played the Bulldogs, at Whitten Oval. Yeah. Why wouldn't you play them down in Tassie and just get the whole thing?
2 years ago, I went to Hawthorn Collingwood at Launceston, and they got a really good crowd.
Was that the preseason game? Yeah, that was
preseason. Yeah, preseason 2023. I went to Hawthorn and Collingwood at Launceston.
Yeah, right. No idea. Sorry, I've lost the agenda stuff because I've had to jump on my phone. So I'm pretty sure we were going to talk about the Collingwood North Melbourne game next. Dan, what were your thoughts on the game? Obviously, we've had his first jab talking about Kane Corns and playing the younger kids and stuff like that, with him contradicting himself. I actually thought that the young kids that played, there was 90% of them that played quite well compared to, obviously, you know, previous seasons and stuff like that. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was just watching the first episode of last year's doco, and something just came to mind. I sort of forgot how much we actually dominated in the early parts of last year, barring round 0. We were flying, absolutely flying, smacking teams. Brisbane away, Hawks at the G, teams that, you know, that we generally struggle against. And I think the clubs, and the last 12 games of last year, we only won 3 of them. So I know there was a few issues with Bobby, a couple injuries, and also, you know, the unfortunate passing of Selwood's brother that might have impacted the group, and a lot of things did happen in the last half of last year. But it got me thinking that maybe the club is opting for a little bit more of a slower start to the year, and hence why they've done half the squad in the first game and then half the squad in the North Melbourne game. And that's the senior squad, that is. They actually split them up in half. Not many doubled up. And I think it's generally to save legs towards the end of the year. Because last year, pre-season, I'm pretty sure the last game before GWS, we pretty much played a full squad and then got pumped by GWS. And Bucks made a good point, contradicting what Kane Corn said, saying, well, they're trying something different because they started off round 0 last year and they were pretty shit. So maybe they're trying something different. But what I thought about the game, look, it was great to see the kids play. We, due to our strength of our senior players, kids have found it very difficult to break into the team. So to give exposure to kids, and not only that, give them big roles. Charlie West up forward, our centre bouncers. At one stage, I think there was Long, Allen, and the other guy. But they had I can't. The other guy slips on mine. But they had a Dimitia that they spread it around. So they just didn't give him small roles. They put him in with the deep end. They put Cochrane centre half back. They're the kind of things we need to start doing, especially this year, to start biting some of these kids, especially if we are going to avoid the dip towards the end of the year. I liked it. Players that stood out for me, I loved Bull's game. Not that he kicked the bag of goals, but his contest work, and he never goes to ground. So in a contest, if he doesn't mark it, he keeps his feet. He doesn't. He's like a cat. He won't sort of stay on the ground. So he keeps himself in a contest, which is what I like. So I think, and the fact that he can second ruck is going to be a huge benefit. Will Parker impresses me. Charlie West. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing some kids that I want to see step up. Disappointing, always disappointing when you lose, and that second half was a little bit, but you just don't know. The kids could have just ran out of legs. First game of the year. There was tricky conditions. So, but yeah, overall no injuries. So that's the main thing in both games. No injuries at all. So I liked it.
I felt as if we got a lot of our young kids playing in the VFL game, which we'll touch on a bit later. But the fact that we still had the out of the young kids, the ones that you think we're going to get more of a look in, that aren't as the developmental projects like a Zach McCarthy and a Jessic Centre, compared to your Printables and your Swaddlings and obviously your Andersons that are going to be knocking down the door to get in as soon as possible. I think it was really good to the fact that we were able to see them first and we were able to see them play out. I really want to get your thoughts on a player. I'm going to mention his name, and I want you to tell me what you thought of him. I know he only played, towards the back end of the game. And before I get into the nitty-gritty side of things, what did you think of TJ's performance? I thought, when he came on, I felt like he looked a bit hesitant. His ball handling wasn't the greatest, sort of got into it as the game sort of went on. But then by the time the game went on, the game was already finished. How did you think he went for his first hit out in a while at senior level?
Yeah, I guess it probably would have been a bit difficult for TJ, given, I think at that particular stage of the game, that the rain seemed to get a lot heavier and he sort of come into the game cold, whereas a lot of the other players had already been used to, had been in the flow of the game. So, he sort of, at times, he sort of looked a little bit tentative. He dished off a couple of good handballs, I thought. I definitely, you definitely want to see him have a really good patch of games in this next 2 months. I sort of had him in the mix to be possibly playing in opening round, given his height with a few of, with Howe and Moore missing. But I think they're going to go with Frampton and Cochrane as the probably key defenders, and the form of Parker in the preseason means that he'll definitely get a run as the probably the extra defender that they'll have on the bench.
Any sort of standouts from the young guys that you saw?
I thought in the last quarter, Printable's inside work. I thought, well, he's another potential Tommy sort of Mitchell type. He very courageous and Swaddling. I think he almost got 10 possessions in the last quarter. Just seems to like to be a classy sort of mover and ran the lines well. Teamed up well with Long. So yeah, there's a bit to work with. I know there's a few Collingwood supporters who think that our depth is pretty ordinary, and whilst there are some sort of deficiencies there on the list, I still think there's some work with some of these kids in the next year, depending on obviously how well we go this year. If we're sort of pushing for a final spot or even pushing for a top 4 spot, maybe some of these kids might not get as many looks. But if we do struggle a bit, I think you'll find halfway, later on in the year that, that a lot more of these kids will get opportunities.
Sean, thoughts on the game against North?
It was kind of a game of two halves, wasn't it? When the game was hot in the first half and the pressure was to be brought, we dominated the game, and they couldn't keep up even with the young fellas in that guts. North wasn't there. And then in the second half, it kind of looked like we changed our tactics a fair bit. And we started doing a lot of different things compared to how we did in the first half. It was really good to see Swaddling in that last quarter. Like, he really impressed me. Buller was good. It was nice to see Bo bursting out of packs as well. So seeing that he's not hampered with injury, but also
good point. Yeah.
The one that I was really excited with was Houston demanded the ball. Whenever there was an opportunity for him to get it, you could see, like, give me the ball. And he had 25, and he's still not quite fit with that hip injury he had. But what did he get? 25, 26, and he looked great. And he's got a weapon. That his kicking ability is going to set us apart this year. And I'm really hoping that we get to see the best of him in this season. Like, I'm hoping he just backs himself in, because he is an elite football player, and he's just going to change everything for us. But yeah, I think it was a tale of two halves. It would have been nice to sneak over the line and win a close one again. I don't take much out of these preseason games apart from being able to see what have we worked on and what's a little bit different. Anderson's going to give us a good look in the guts. He looks like he's ready-made, which is nice, because Printable and Swaddling, they might take a little bit, but Printable, he's been in the system. He looks good. And on top of that, yeah, like, it was nice to see us trying something down back. And Cochrane's come a long way, hasn't he?
He's put on some size. And I think it was Swoop that posted a photo on Instagram. Probably, it would have been close to a month ago. It was pretty much when the new training tops got released, and you could just see, like, how much bigger he is and how much he's, like, sort of grown into his own body, which is what you want to see. And we're going to have defenders, obviously, over the next 12 months that are probably going to call it quits soon. So you really need to sort of, get those bodies up and running to fill those spots, especially with the fact that we know that Reef's not, and they've said that he's not ready. He's probably still at least a month away. So that position is obviously up for grabs if he wants to, really contend quite heavily in there. Look, my take on it was the first quarter, we just couldn't get our hands on the ball in the middle. I don't know if you guys saw the same thing, but I think at one stage it was 7-3 clearances in the first quarter. North were just everywhere. Every time Darcy won a contest, North were just streaming forward. The second quarter was the exact opposite. We just dominated them out of the middle, and then when the ball was obviously in defence, we were just pushing really, really hard, and our transition from defensive to the forward was fantastic. My key part out of this game, and I said it in my review of the video, for those that have seen it will know that I've already said this, but when was the last time that Collingwood had a tall forward that can take marks, that can bring the ball to ground if he doesn't mark, that's fast around the entire ground, especially in the forward 50, and can lay a tackle? I'm thinking like young Travis Cloke or prime Chris Dawes in 2010, 2011, that we've had that type of forward that can do it. I know it's only a practice game, but what I saw from Jack Buller was sensational. The way that he was able to, create the contest. And for some reason, I think it made Charlie West look even better. Look, because Charlie West turned into the third tall forward, because McStay was up there as well. And then Charlie West was doing things that Charlie West looked like Darcy Fogarty. The way his body was shaped, the way he was attacking the ball, the way that he was presenting, it looked like it was Darcy Fogarty in a Collingwood jumper. And I'm thinking to myself, geez, if he can apply something like that pretty early, I think we've got a really good crop of kids there and some young talent in our forward line that can do some serious damage to opposition. The third quarter, I don't know if it was like, hey, experiment's over, just get through the game sort of thing. And we didn't really contend in many contests. We just looked really slow and lethargic. And then we woke up in the last quarter, but North were up and about, and it became an arm wrestle, and we just couldn't get there in the end. But I mean, you look at the players that we had out. I mean, you're looking at I'm going to say 9 players. I'm not going to include Bobby in the stuff for this season until we've got more information on what he's doing, but 9 players that pretty much would be starting, including obviously Nick Dacos, Sidebottom, and Pendlebury. I mean, you put those 3 in the side there, I think we win quite comfortably just alone on that too. So, I mean, it's so contradictory going back to your first jab, Hatters, how Kane Corns can say that we're too old, we do this, we need to play youngsters and we need to play youth, and then we go and play the youth and we give them a really good hit out. And not only have we given our youth a good hit out against North Melbourne, the other next group of talent have played in a VFL game, and they've gone and beaten North Melbourne at Arden Street. And we've got some guys that are still playing second fiddle, and they've just got a really good run at it as well. And I think if the whole day, take the 1-point loss against North Melbourne out, I think it was actually a pretty decent day for our boys to get prepped in for a pretty big season. And on that, we'll move obviously to a little mini preview of the St Kilda game on Sunday, 7:20 MCG. Sportsbet's got both teams at $1.90 last time I checked this morning, or whatever it is, so that was quite interesting. Dan, opening round.
Yeah, look, just touching on your point about Buller, I couldn't agree more, but I was thinking about it prior to the show. What it actually can do, which I will touch on, with the St Kilda game, is release McStay. So McStay, when he was fit, he would often second ruck. They tried that for a fair bit. What it actually allows McStay to do, if Buller's in a team, because Buller can second ruck, is McStay to stay permanent forward. And Buller also can be that bullocking type. And then it's going to be out of a Westall and Membry, who takes that third spot. I think Charlie West is coming pretty fast, and so I've got a feeling he'll be in that team more often than not. But in relation to the St Kilda game, I would be confident. The doubts I have, obviously, is with Moore and Howe out. The young defence, Frampton's solid. He does a job, but he's often had the support of a Howe and a Moore by his side. Cochrane, look, he's got great skills. I like the kid. Is he ready to take a centre half back position? Probably not. But in saying that, the good thing for us this week, Howe or Moore aren't long term. They're only 1 or 2 weeks away. and the other benefit is Max King is out. So that leaves, one tall forward that they don't have. So outside of that, they've got Sherman, who's a Maynard can take. They've got TDK, who will spend stints up there in Marshall, which a Frampton can take when they're up there. And obviously, and the rest of their forward line are mediums, which are, as I said, Maynard or Aquina can actually take, or a Perryman. So we've probably hit the right team, having more and how out with with Max King out. It will be one in the midfield. I was watching that doco in the first 8 rounds. That was on 7+ just before, and we were flying. But what I noticed was Houston wasn't flying, DeGoey wasn't flying, and obviously McStay had his injury concerns. Now, from all reports, DeGoey's had a ripper pre-season and he's in great nick. That's a huge upgrade. Dan, very similar to a Schultz, where came in, was under an injury cloud. He's a bit of an introvert from what I gather, and he did struggle in his first year, but as Sean said, in that practice game, he was demanding the ball. Even Fly said during the week, because he's such an introvert, Dan, got to call for the ball more, and he'll come out of his shell. And you get a go in Houston, 2 genuine All-Australian in my opinion, upgrades, then it does change the mix of the team. So, and we're relatively healthy outside of Moore and Howe. Like, we've literally got a full team to pick from.
And the fact that Moore was also touch and go, we knew how that wasn't going to play against St Kilda, but Moore was the 50-50 one. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of glad he's not playing, in the sense of, we might miss him against St Kilda, but I mean, we're facing Adelaide next week, and that's and that's a big one. I know we played them a few months ago over there, but it's a different kettle of fish now, and I think that you're probably going to need Darcy against them quite heavily. Just really quickly on that, you said a name for St Kilda, and I just want to touch on that, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Hatters, too, with TDK obviously moving across to St Kilda. When we played against Carlton both games last year when he played, I felt as if Darcy Cameron really just nullified his impact in the game completely. I felt Darcy was fantastic in both games. I remember the second game against Carlton, he actually got hit right at the start of the game in the ruck contest, and he was a bit dazed and stuff like that, but he still kept going. Does that make then the ruck combination a little bit more significant against St Kilda, considering that they've got Marshall as the backup ruckman? Where's he going to play during the game? Is he going to go forward? Is he going to go defence? And does that mean then, now that Steen's got a bit of a hit out, are we going to go the Steen option, or are we just going to go the McStay Frampton sort of backup? Hatters, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because I tend to think, you look the back end of last year when we weren't sort of playing as well, we kept persisting with the 3 talls in the forward line, and then ultimately McStay got dropped for that final in Adelaide, and we looked a lot better in our forward 50 going smaller. So, I mean, the way I would set up the team, I'd have Buller at full forward, McStay at centre half forward, and go with the likes of Elliott, McCreery, Schultz, and Harrison up forward, and just let those 4 smaller blokes zip around. Elliott does what he does. He almost plays as extra tall anyway. And I given this is round 0, it's going to be like a hot tempo. I think you're going to need running power, and I don't know if you can really carry an extra tall guy when it's going to be one of those games where the last quarter you could be really stretched out in terms of running capacity. So I'm not sure whether both Membry and West will get a game. I know Dan is a big fan of West. I like Membry and I like West as well, but I'm just not sure in this sort of game against the Kilda, given they're probably they're not an overly tall team either. Whether whether we need to just go a little bit smaller and just rely upon that really good quick forward line that we've got when we've got McCreary in there.
Yeah, I this whole debate about the BMW they're calling it this season with Buller, Membry, and obviously West. I'm judging by what I've seen so far, and I'm looking at also the match simulation against GWS. I haven't seen enough in the preseason from Membry to be like, oh, you're a guaranteed starter. I genuinely think it's a toss of the coin between Membry and West. I don't think you can play both of them, but I do think it's a toss between the two of them on who gets that spot.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting team selection for this one here. Like, I know every week we're going to say, oh, it's going to be interesting and this, that. But obviously opening round, first game of the season, having what looked to be a little bit dire at one stage with our little niggles and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that was like, end of December, start of January. We had, Quainer hamstring. We had players a bit sore and stuff like that. And obviously then Darcy and Howe with their calves, which they've, gone really conservative, which is probably what you want this time of year anyway, because no one's going to win a flag this time of year. It's just going to be interesting to see who actually gets that spot in the thing. Do we play side bottom forward at us? Like, is he someone that may have to get pushed up into the forward line if we've got, someone like an Anderson that comes in straight away, or, if we need to change it up? Because, you look at the players we had missing against North. I mean, it's a quarter of a whole starting 18 pretty much.
Yeah, well, when I sort of picked my side, I had side bottom starting on the bench, and given his ability to play anywhere, I think he'll plug holes. Like if we're struggling a little bit on the wing or midfield, and then he'll get some minutes in there, and we know in that final against the Crows, he can snap a couple of goals as well. So I as part of sort of not trying to get rid of Sidebottom out of the team, but trying to transition him out of the team and giving other guys opportunities, I see him playing a lot more on the bench this year, and that'll help him play out the whole season as well, instead of getting cooked early.
Yeah, Sean, what do you reckon about the Saints? What are your thoughts on this? Is there anyone in particular you're pretty keen to see in this game?
Well, the Saints, their recruiting was quite odd. They went for talent acquisition over the break. So bringing in Ryan, Flanders, Silvani, TDK, which I generally do think they overpaid for two of them, especially, or even Flanders. I reckon that pick 7 draft pick was fairly high for him, but I get it. They had to bring in the talent-wise. They're an odd team. They're going to be hard to read because they're going to be very flirty with their form, I feel. I don't think they've brought in people who are consistently going to give you B-grade efforts every week. So they're going to get caught in games where they're going to get beaten by 30, 40, 50 points. And they're also going to get games where they're going to be real streaky and they're going to put a lot of points on the board when they're playing. So I generally do believe if we weather the first quarter, because I think this is where they're going to be pumped. They've got a new team, flashy cars coming in, all that type of stuff. I feel like they're going to jump us out of the blocks. It's how well we negotiate that first 10 to 15 minute stretch and then bring it back on our terms, and we just do the experience thing and just wear them down and get a 10-point victory. That's where I see it's headed.
I feel like if we were to do that like we did against North Melbourne, where we just let them get the center clearances and stuff, we don't get our hands on it first and everything like that, I've just got a feeling that it's not going to be like a 2 or 3 goal margin. They have the opportunity in the first quarter to literally blow us out and get it to 40, 50 points if we don't sort of stem that flow pretty quickly. But I still think that we've got enough midfield talent in there to one-on-one with them, run with them all day and obviously run away with it. And I think the benefit of us playing them this early too, and, is the fact that it is at the MCG, and we can talk about people having the arguments, Pies always play at the MCG, and I'll just make this point, which we can all pretty much agree on. They chose to play us. They wanted to play us there. This is not our choice to play this game at the MCG. It's not our choice to play opening round. We agreed to it, obviously, because it was in Melbourne and the AFL wanted us to do it. And it's on a long weekend and blah, blah, blah. But I think the fact that it's at the MCG is going to favour us quite heavily.
Also, Winhager versus Dacos. Now, if that doesn't work for them, he's going to have 40 and 2 because I think he's almost untaggable now. But they can give it a go.
Yeah. What I would sorry, Sean. What I want to get your thoughts on, you boys, is when I tag, would you tag Nez? Because he's flying. Wangan Miller, he's absolutely flying. I don't think the Saints are expecting a tag because we just generally don't tag, but he's never been tagged. That was mentioned on the radio during the week. He's never been tagged.
I heard that, yeah.
In not one game. I actually wouldn't mind if Fly did a surprise this week and chucked a long on him and said, mate, your job this week.
Exactly.
It's to give him the hardest night of his life. And that's what I will be doing, but we'll see.
I literally had that as one of my notes that I did want to say. I wrote it down during the blackout. Don't forget. If we were going to tag Naz, the only one that I want to see do that, apart from bringing Levi Greenwood out of retirement, would probably be Ned Long. I think that would be a perfect matchup, and just to physically wear him down to the point where, okay, if the tag then wasn't working as much as what we thought, and then it's okay, don't worry about it. Let's just play your own game, do what you got to do, and then Long gets into the game and stuff. I think that just wears him down quite heavily. But I mean, who knows? He's never been tagged before. He could also be another untaggable player. The guy's a freak. He's a gun footballer. He's the type of player that you want in your midfield. I think it's sort of like for like with Nick at the same time. I think they've both got a very similar skill set. Nick's probably just a little bit more stronger body-wise, I would have thought. But it'd be interesting if we do change it up like that. Just a quick one, boys. What are your tips for the Collingwood Saints game? Don't be too biased. Hatters, what have you got?
I think St Kilda by 11 points.
Dan?
Yeah, the back line worries me. If they do get midfield dominance, Frampton and Cochrane down there do worry me if they get that. But look, Hart wants to pick the pies, but yeah, I'm with Hatters. It'll be. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but yeah, I do think the Saints will just get over the line, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sean.
So I've been toing and froing during the week. I've gone Collingwood by 15. Yeah. Only because, I feel because we haven't seen the Goey and Dacos together for a while, and also the rotations of Joshy Dacos and whatever we do with Houston and whatever we do with the wings as well, which is interesting. I feel like front half of the ground, we've got them, and I'm with you guys with the defense. If they do get a hold of us, we're in trouble.
Yeah, look, I think it's one of these games where, obviously, because it's the start of the season, you don't really have too much form to go by. You can only go by what's happening in the preseason. You can't rate Essendon too much when St Kilda played them. We lost by 1 point against North Melbourne, and they were almost at a full streak side, minus Wardlaw and Archer, I think, really. So I'm looking at this game, and I think my head's telling me St Kilda by 2 goals. My heart's telling me Collingwood by 35 points. But I think it's my gut I'm going to listen to on this one here, and I'm going to say Collingwood by 2 goals, if that, really close. But I think it's one of these games where I can genuinely see both sides winning by a couple of goals. It'd be like that. I don't see it being like a game against Hawthorn last year where they blew us out of the water. And I don't see it being like the game against Hawthorn last year where we smacked them by 50 points. I don't see it being like that. I do genuinely think it's going to be quite a close contest. If we can sort of hold them off at the start of the game and not let them sort of have that run on like that Sean was talking about, I think we're every single chance to win it. But it's going to be a midfield battle. Yeah, if they get on top of us in defence, 100%. But I think our forward line's just as capable of doing damage to them down back as well. But I think it's more or less how the midfielders push up into defence and can help out. Our transition is going to be massive from kickouts, the zone defenses and stuff like that, just trying to get past them. They are fairly tall across their midfield and half forwards and stuff too, so we can try and break through them with the speed. And I think that the one point that Sean made just in his assessment was, what are we going to do with Josh Dacos and Dan Houston? Are they both going to play on the half back? Is Josh going to go up on the wing potentially? Is Josh going to go in the middle and play more of that defensive sort of midfielder and sort of bring the ball in from the middle instead of pushing too high up forward? I'm hoping to God that Josh plays in the middle and you just see Josh and Nick do their thing and then Chuck to go in the forward line, and then to go is sort of that relief sort of midfielder for him that can turn it over and give him 5-10 minute spurts and stuff. I think that's the stage where DeGoey is at his career now. But I think the best part about the preseason and all this is the fact that injury wise we've been pretty good. We've had 2 games where we haven't really copped any sort of serious injuries or anything like that at all, and we can sort of hit the season now. And the only excuse if we lose is just us. It's not actually because of injuries, because of missing players, because of this or whatever it is. It'll be because we're just not up to it. But I do think against St Kilda, I think it's going to be quite a close contest. Just quickly touching on, just for a couple of minutes, Hatters, just want to get your thoughts on the VFL boys. You're probably more in the know with the VFL side than most of us here. What are your assessments on what we've seen so far, whether it be the Pracky game against North Melbourne and just in general the list that we've actually got, the VFL list that we've got this year is actually looking quite promising.
Yeah, well, they've recruited quite comprehensively. They've got, I think it's Tajway Woden. Who else is there? There's they got Harry Perryman's brother, but he's done an ACL. Who else did they get? They've got a couple of guys from North Melbourne. They've got Will Phillips, Teakle. There's a third one from the Kangaroos as well, Dan. Who was that?
Eddie Ford. Eddie Ford we got.
Eddie Ford, I definitely see our VFL team being a lot more consistent this year, picking up some of these senior guys, and hopefully they can sort of having maybe some senior sort of bodies in there help with these sort of younger guys like Saxena and McCarthy. And I didn't get to see obviously the reserves against the Kangaroos at Arthur Street because I don't think it was on TV. But from all reports, there was a very impressive performance. Yeah. So it's I think definitely with Saxena and McCarthy both kicking a couple of goals in their sort of first proper hit out. There's some promising signs with both of those young kids that we've just drafted.
We're also able to sign on Charlie McCartan, the middle brother, I think it was too, of the two McCartan boys, who was actually working at the club before, I believe, as a recruiter, or he still is. And he was able to actually get a spot on the VFL list, which is really good. We also were able to get Zy Mullane. Obviously, we know where that's family lines coming from. But I think the good part about with Zy is the fact that he's got some pretty decent experience in some open age footy in VFL with the Gold Coast Suns. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. Obviously, there's a bit of nostalgia there, but I think it's been on the cards for a while now that the Pies were after him or going to try and get him into the VFL list somehow. I think the biggest one of the season, though, for the VFL side was getting Will Phillips into the team. I really think that because he's been pushing for a while to try and, over the off season to get into another AFL team. But the fact that we've got him in our VFL side, and who knows what could happen for him, whether it's with us or another club, for a mid-season pickup or whatever. I think that's going to be quite interesting. I do want to get your thoughts, though, just slightly off topic. I didn't put this down on the agenda too, but it's just reminded me. We spoke about this a little bit, like me and Hatters, and obviously you as well, Dan, last season off air. We did speak about this with Jaden Stevenson, and the potential thought of him wanting to come back and play AFL football. We discussed it off air, and he obviously, did try and make himself available with Port Adelaide. It wasn't to be. He's gone and played for Coburg in the standalone carnival for the VFL down at Craigieburn over the weekend. He's booted 5 goals for him. If there was a way, and I'm just going to get your opinion on this because I said this in another group chat last week, and it was spoken about on SEN during the week. I'll probably ask you, how does this question? If there was a chance that, let's just say, for example, Bobby wasn't able to get back to full training and stuff this season and whatever, and we put him on the inactive list, so to speak, and there was a spot that opened up for pre-season, would you consider, if he's in good form, getting Stevenson in for, I don't know, just half the season or whatever it is? Would that be something that you would think the club could go down that direction, provided, and I'm using Bobby as an example, but if there could be an injury to another player, for example, I'm just sort of using because it's the forward sort of combination. But if there was a spot that opened up in general, would you be interested to see if that happened?
I'd take it now if we had a spot, personally. I know he's 27 and he's had a bit of baggage in the past, but I think what you've got now is a guy who's desperate to play AFL. Whereas I think probably 4 or 5 years ago when he left Collingwood, there was a guy who didn't really care about AFL footy. He just saw it as a payday, but he's realised that this is his one last opportunity. And you have a look at guys in the past when they are desperate to play the game, and we all know he's got natural talent. And I think whilst we have got some reasonably sort of talented kids on our list, to pick up someone like him basically as a free hit, in the mid-season draft, like I mentioned, the back end of the year, if we're pushing for top 6 or top 4, and you pick him up in the mid-season draft and he's in form at Coburg, it would be an extra exciting opportunity to have him in our forward 50 as well, or even coming off the bench.
And you'd think that not just with us, but if any club was in that position, because obviously he'd be accessible to other clubs and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
If any club was in a position where they were fighting for like a wild card spot, for example, now that position's in place and everything, let alone a top 4, or a club that's in 6th and is the same as the club that's in 7th on percentage and wins and everything, and they're battling it out too. You inject someone like that who's desperate to play, who's desperate to perform, not just for his team but for himself. I mean, you're going to get someone that's going to run through a brick wall and stuff like that. And there'll be many players out there that will be in that situation too. But I think it's because of the sort of the nostalgia feel for him and stuff like that too. I'd love to give him that opportunity, but I don't know.
I mean, it's a different sort of scenario, but guys like Sean Manor, who are, 26, 27, they're mature men, and it's totally different to when you're 18 or 19 and, everything falls in your feet and you're the number 1 pick and you kick 38 goals and you play in the grand final and you get the adulation of all the Collingwood supporters, and it probably just got to his head, to be honest. But now I think he's you can just see the way he speaks about the game and he speaks about life. And I've had the opportunity to have a couple of chats with him, and I might be a little bit biased, but I just think I'm one for a bit of a redemption story here, and I'd love to see him come back to Collingwood and do well.
Yeah, look, I'm with Hatters. Me personally, I would have put Bobby on the inactive list prior to the cutoff and add him on the list straight away. Mainly because we don't know what's going on with Bobby, but best case scenario, he comes back, he's going to need conditioning. He's a long shot to play again this year, depending on where his fitness is at. It's going to take him a long time to get there. So I would have done it. you can still support Bobby at the same time. Get him back into the club if he wants to, and do that while he's on the inactive list. But he's hungry, and look, his weaknesses are his deficiencies are his defensive side. But you don't need 23 defensive minded players.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to old school footy, and this is your role. Stay on this side of the ground. Like, obviously, everyone rolls up, pushes up, and there's structures and there's zones and stuff like that. But I mean, and not just with him, with anybody. I mean, you can have a player in the forward line who, like, is just like, we've got Lockie Schultz. Yeah, he's going to run defensive pressure in the back line, in the midfield. He's going to lock the ball on the forward line. Jamie Elliott's getting old. Jamie, you don't need to be in the back pocket at this contest. Go back towards the forward line. And I think it'd be the same for Stevenson if he was to go to any club. It's like, you don't need to go down there. Work on your strengths and just play to your strengths. I think that's, something pretty blindly obvious. And I'm glad that you said that, because you don't need to have every player.
And that's what Floyd does.
Can be a dual position player.
And Floyd does that. He tells people, play to your strengths. Give us the best version of yourself. He'll fly on the fly. Pardon the pun, but he would.
That's the thing. I can see him playing the Ollie Dempsey role for whoever he goes for. If you put him on the wing, he's a very smart footballer. He will kick you 30, 40 goals off a wing, because he'll play the fat side, and he'll just be up and back, up and back. Like, once he gets fit enough again, and he plays the way we want to play. He plays fast. And he's quick as anything, I tell you what. But he would be able to do exactly the same as Ollie Dempsey's doing. He's got that leap. He's got everything. And
the thing is that he's also got, sorry, Danny, but he's got, if you want to talk about like the fitness component to it, I don't want to keep using Bobby as an example, but let's look at Bobby Hill for an example. Overall, Bobby Hill's a better footballer by a country mile. His accolades and stuff like that, big game time, speak for itself. But at the moment, I'm saying Jaden Stevenson's a better footballer. Jaden Stevenson's done a pretty vigorous preseason with Port Adelaide, because he not only did he have to do what they wanted him to do, but he had to do extra to try and prove himself. And then he's gone into a standalone VFL club, which are semi-professional footballers. So, it's not as if he's playing local football, like Div 3 local football or whatever. He's playing at an extremely high level of state league football in probably the strongest competition outside the AFL. So you'd think to yourself that, fitness-wise, I don't think it's an issue. It's not as if it's going to be like, you have to let him train for 4 or 5 weeks and get conditioning into him. He's done it at another AFL club for the past, 3-4 months or however long he's been there for. So, and the fact that the SSP spots actually got extended, the cutoff got extended, that actually allowed him to train more, so to speak. So, I don't know. It's just an interesting one. I thought I'd bring it up just in regards to see what you guys think. But if the opportunity came mid-season for him, I hope he gets the opportunity regardless of where it is. I think he deserves it. I would love to see it back with us, even if. And he said in the paper, like, he didn't want to do, like, come back and play 30, 40 games of footy and then get cut, and then that's it. He wanted to actually extend his career 100 games and stuff like that. So he's in it for the long run. I think that says something. Moving on, before we wrap it up, just the last, few rapid fire, for the next 10, 15 minutes. But season predictions. Just do the pies for now. Sean, where do you see us finishing for the home and away season?
So, all right, I'll do it. I'll say third. I've been floating between anywhere between in the top 10, but I'll say third. I'll back us in. Actually, I'll go second. I want a home final. So, we'll go second.
That's nice. Dan, what have you got? Where you guys finishing?
Look, this list and Fly have a habit of making me look silly. The culture within the group, it can't be understated. So I feared last year, prior to the season. I know we got Houston and Perryman into the mix last year, but I feared in 25 that you do hear the media reports. You do worry about the age, and they prove me wrong. I'm conflicted. I can't get the 3 games out of the last 12 wins. I can't get that out of my head because I don't know if it was just a mixture of bad fortune with injuries and some dramas at the club, which were out of their hands. But the other part of me, the common sense part says, well, a Pendlebury, a Seibald, and Mahal, these players, a Crisp, and Elliott, they're going to decrease at some point. They can't keep playing to the level that they've been playing at. That's what logic says. But who's to say they don't have one more in them? I don't know that. We have lost a bit of senior depth. That didn't have much of an impact last year, outside of my check. Look, if the goalie gets firing, Houston gets firing, Dan McStay finds his role at the club. Buller creates a contest up forward, kicks his 30 goals, second rucks, and a few youngsters come on. Top 8 is on the cards. If some of the players start to deteriorate, early retirements due to age, it could fall away where we start biting youngsters towards the back end. And it could be, as low as 12. I'm going to go between the 8 and 12 range, only because I'm unsure. Look, I don't know what this older group has left
I
in
think
them.
we're not going to, look deep down,
Yeah.
I think this time of year, we're not going to really get a decent indication as Collingwood supporters, knowing our own club. We're not going to know until the Anzac Day time, really, on where this is going to go and where we're able to see this, go. I like the unknown because you can make yourself look amazing with your calls, but you can also make yourself look like a dickhead. So the conservative call that you've made there is really good. Sean's gone for glory, so hopefully he, makes himself look like a master. We can clip this and show it after we've been the flag this season. Hatters, where you reckon we'll finish this season before finals?
Yeah, I'm a little bit with Dan. I think we could finish from anywhere from 4th down to 13th or 14th. I think it's a very even competition. I've probably got similar concerns about some players, but then conversely, I'm sort of excited. I'm sort of not ambivalent to the season, but I can see the excitement of potentially finishing in the top 4 again. But if we don't play so well, that means we're going to see some newer players exposed. And whilst we might not get the success of playing finals maybe the second half of the year, it might set us up for 28, 29 because we'll be forced to go with some younger guys. So I think either way, it's going to be an exciting season. We'll go well. It could be going well, and we could be finishing top 4. And even if we lose a heap of games, the opportunity to see a whole new breed of Collingwood players, that'll be an exciting part of it in itself. But if you had to nail me on a position, I'll go for 7th, and the AFL will be licking their lips because Collingwood will be a part of the wildcard round.
Yeah, so I've got us very similar. I've got us anywhere between, I think, 7th and 10th this season. Realistically, I think that's where we're going to finish. I've said this many times before, but I think our absolute best football, if everything goes well, especially towards the back end of the season, and we are peaking and we are hitting form and we're ready to attack the final series, our best is top 2. And I will take that to the grave. I will believe that every day of the week. Our best football with a full list, playing well, even with older experienced guys, is top 2 in this competition right next to Brisbane. I think we're better than Geelong. I think we're better than Hawthorn when we're playing good football, 100%. The problem that I've got is that if there is one crack in the chain, then the ripple effect is massive, and our worst football is bottom 4. When we are on a really shit day, we can potentially play bottom 4 football and only just get wins against West Coast and only just get wins against Richmond like we did last year. And they actually played quite well against us last year, that game that me and you went to down. I think we ended up winning by 36 points, but there was games where it was like shit.
No, it was ugly.
It's only a couple of goals in it now. Can we just please finish him off so we can get out of here, sort of thing? You know what I mean? So I think there's just so much of a difference between the two sides, but I think we're just one of those teams that is so heavily dependent on if our injury list is massive, we're going to struggle. And this is going by last season, but the fact that we've got the youngsters now that people don't think that we have, or people don't see that we have because they're just too busy worried about the older boys. There was an interview with Craig McRae and Jordan Lewis, and it was on the AFL website. It was on YouTube and stuff. I watched half of it today, and the first part, he started saying to Fly, you're the oldest list in the competition, blah, blah. And Fly's like, well, hang on. We've lost Mindcheck. We've lost Markov. We've lost Mason Cox. We've lost Will Hoskin Elliott. These guys are all over the ages of 30. It's actually brought our demographic down. Now, if you had taken Scott Pendlebury out of our side, let's just say for hypothetical sake that Scott Pendlebury retired at the end of last season. He's older than me. The bloke's 38 years of age, right? Now, you take him out of the side, I think we drop to like second or third in the AFL average, in the age list. So I don't think people understand that it's not actually, it's just because we've got a couple of players that have just jacked it up a bit, but we've got a decent crop of young players in there. So I've got us finishing anywhere between 7th and 10th, and then we get the home wildcard final, and I don't think you'd want to be anybody wanting to play us at the MCG in an elimination final in the MCG, first week of the finals, I think.
One thing I just want to touch on about the season is, I have touched on a bit, is DeGoey and Houston. I mean, people probably have forgotten how good they really are. But they have, DeGoey contributed very little last year. Houston, he was, he just wasn't himself. He was an average B grade player, or even a C grade at times. You get those two firing to A grade status, and our injury list stays healthy, which at the moment it is, bar for a couple of short term injuries. Anything can switch, and it can, we can propel the top six, but we are going to be reliant on a bit of luck when it comes to injury. And also, we just got to hope that, players like DeGoey and Houston just have A-grade seasons. If they do have A-grade seasons, they're like two new recruits in my eyes. And you can add McStay to that too. And you get McStay kicking 30 goals and, 35 and actually hitting the scoreboard, staying deep up forward, hitting the wings. It can change, but health is your best asset. I just hope, we can stay a bit injury free to get a bit of hope.
All right, Sean, I'm going to ask you 4 questions, straight answers. Leading goal kicker 2026.
I went through it a couple of times, and I look at it, and I still think Jay's probably the one that's still got the potential to kick 3 to 4 a game.
Yeah,
between 2 to 5 a game, really. And I look at everybody else, and they're all 1s to 2. So I'm going to go Jamie.
Copeland winner.
Nick's finally going to get one, I hope. So, look, it's not going to say he's stiff because it's a club award, but he was our best the last 2 years.
The
breakout year. Best. Yeah, who's going to be the breakout player this year for us?
Look, he's due. So I personally feel it's between 2, but I'm going to go with Allen. But it could even be Steen, but I'm going to go with Allen because he just looks cherry ripe. He's just bursting right from packs and confident. So I'm going to go with him.
The best first-year player. Who have you got for us?
Well, I was really impressed by Swadling in that last quarter. So if he can manage to get a game, he's far off it. But if he does manage to get a game, I think that he can do a bit of damage. So that 23rd spot might be used as a sub sort of thing. So he might just come in for just an impact player. I'd say.
Dan, what have you got for us? Who do you reckon leading goal kicker this year?
Yeah, Jamie's the logical choice, but I'm gonna back in McStay. He's frustrates the hell out of him, and he's never kicked more than 25 in a year. But
Yeah.
the reality is, we've never had a second ruck that is a forward, which Fuller is, and for a structure point of view, I think that helps McStay because he doesn't have to go into the ruck. He can plant himself in the forward 50 more often than not. So I'm hoping, and he doesn't have to be the Bullock type as well because Bullock plays that role as well. So I think Bullock's going to help him. So I'm hoping McStay kicks 35 plus to 40 and takes the award, which, and that's really what we got him in the club for, if that hope. So I'm hoping McStay, it's just something that, I'm hoping he gets the job done. First year player, I'm going with Swadling. When we drafted him, I said to Hatters, I said, he's the best kid out of that group, out of the kids. And I saw his video. I saw his last call against North, and nothing's changed my mind. That kid can play. He's skillful. He's a ball magnet, and he won't break in early in a year, but he'll break in at some stage. And I think
he just needs to put on. I think honestly, he just needs to put on a little bit of size throughout the next couple of months. Just get some VFL form, and I think once he gets in there, he takes this opportunity. I think he's going to be all right.
Yep.
So who have you got for the Copeland?
It's Nick, isn't it? It has to be Nick.
Has to be. Hatters leading goal kicker and Copeland this year. What do you reckon?
I'll pretty much go with what Sean said. To be honest, those four selections probably pretty much nailed it. I'm just in regards to the best first year player. Is it the best first? Is it the first year the player at Collingwood, or is it his first year of playing football? I'm not sure how Collingwood does it.
I'd say best first year player that's been drafted to the club or come to the club.
Yeah,
the club. I think Ned Long won it or someone else won it who's already experienced but was a first time player at the club. So I think that really must be. I think
that's one.
The only person that fits into that category is Jack Buller. That's the only other person.
That's why I'm thinking maybe Buller might win it only because I think he'll play a lot more games. So it'll be either Buller or Swadling, depending on the criteria that Collingwood's got for it. I can't recall it.
But Buller can't win it because he's played senior games for another club. The first year player has got to be a person that hasn't played an AFL game.
Okay.
I think.
I'll stick with Swadling and the other three picks that Sean had.
What about breakout player? What about your breakout player for the season? Who's
I'm an Ed Allen fan. I know some people are knockers on him. I still think there's enough good things in his game. Sure, he's not the perfect player yet, but I think once he gets a lot more continuity in his games, I think if he can stretch 15 games together this year, I reckon the back end of the year we'll just see him flourish as a player. Just got to remember, some of these, he was the youngest. I keep saying this. He was the youngest player taken in that draft, so his development was always going to be a lot slower in terms of him dominating an AFL level. He's definitely got the talent. I actually looked up with the stats on Sunday. He was Collingwood's leading tackle guy with Ned Long, which people have been critical of Ed Allen not being much of a tackler, but he's obviously worked on that side of his game. So I'm really enthusiastic to see what Ed Allen can do this year.
Nice. Well, I've got leading goal kicker this year. I'm going to play it safe and say Jamie, but I don't want it to be Jamie. I want it to be a McStay. I want it to be even a Buller. I mean, if Charlie West locks his spot in from the start, I mean, how good would it be to see him, kick 40, 50 goals? this season. But I'll probably say Jamie, just in the sense of I still think he's probably going to be the main target up there. I don't think he'll get the main defender. I think McStay or Buller will get the main defender. McStay early in the season will probably get the main defender, but I think that just frees up Jamie Elliott quite a lot to do what he needs to do. Copeland Trophy winner, obviously, is going to be Nick, but Jesus, I would love it if Nick wasn't to win it for whatever reason. You'd see someone like a Jordan De Goey just have an absolute ripper of a season and go and take it. I think, I think he's only finished in the top 10 once or twice or whatever it was. He finished 8th one year or whatever it is. I don't think he's actually finished in the top 5 or top 2 or whatever it is. So I'd like to see him up there. Breakout year. I don't know. I just need you to hear me out on this one here. I genuinely think Lockie Sullivan is going to surprise a lot of people this year. I've just got a feeling that he is going to be – so like last year he was able to string in 14 games together, and he was so dominant when De Goey was out. He was basically playing the De Goey role, obviously not as effective as what De Goey does, but I've just got this feeling if he can stay in the side and still keep his spot, he's going to be – I think he's going to be severely underrated, and we're going to see him flourish this season. So I would love to see him pretty much be one of the season standouts this year, because I think he's just that squad player, the middle cog of the team that just does his job. I want to see him take that next level and only makes other players play better around him.
He was good against North Melbourne.
Yeah, his experience showed, man. His experience showed.
He was good against North Melbourne.
I was actually surprised with someone, because I reckon I saw him at training about 6 weeks ago, and he looked to be like really struggling with that knee injury. So he's obviously his recovery skills are magnificent to be able to be playing so well, because that looked like a pretty serious knee injury that he got.
Well, put it this way: if he doesn't hurt his knee against Richmond, then I've got a feeling you're probably not going to see Ryan Steele get a game towards the end of the season and keep his spot. There's going to be other senior players that are going to be really struggling to get back into the team. You probably wouldn't have seen Hoskin Elliott. You probably wouldn't have seen Will Parker get a spot. There wouldn't have been spots for him, because Sullivan still would have kept his spot, I thought, if he didn't go out. So I still think he's in our best 23.
I'll tell you what, that Steele's starting to look sneaky good, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Just do things so you go, oh, he's there. Like every time, like he's just there.
Did you see when the game was on the line against North, when we were trailing and we were surging for that last goal? Did you see some of the contests that he put in?
Yeah, he was just head over the ball straight in.
He was like a man possessed. I went, hang on a second, I haven't seen this before. And I liked it.
Best first-year player I've got this season is Anderson. I think he is going to really be pushing to get a spot nice and early. And I thought that that game against GWS, to take down Briggs the way that he did, if he can lock in a spot early and get some consistent form and stuff like that, I think he might be our best first-year player this year, only because also too, and I agree with what you guys are saying about Swaddling. I think Swaddling's going to be I think Swaddling's going to be a little bit of that Medhurst type in that forward, just that forward manic pressure really gives it to the thing. I think he's got a little bit of that about him from what we've seen so far, which is going to be quite nice. I just don't know if he's going to have the games this season to get to that level. I think in 2-3 years' time, I think the whole thing sort of opens up for him, and he's definitely going to be where we want him to be. Boys, that's pretty much all we've got on for tonight. I do apologise about the blackout and all the bullshit I had to go through there. It's never happened before, but I saved it for the first episode of 2026 for the Sherrin stand. So I do apologise to everybody that was watching them, but I got there in the end. Thanks so much for joining. We've got the fan forum on tomorrow, most likely. I'll confirm that shortly. We'll get the fan forum on tomorrow. We'll drop our preview for the Collingwood St Kilda game on Thursday. And before we go, I just wanted to let everybody know that as the season starts, we are going to be giving our 3-2-1 votes for the Daniel Nardella MVP trophy, which I have, which I've organised. The actual trophy's I should come here tomorrow. I'll get that engraved and everything. All the co-hosts of the show, so Hatters, Dan, Sean, we've got Nathan from the Hopper Bros Barbecue, who's on the social club, and also Matty Moore from the fan forum. We're all going to give our 3 2s and 1s, and we're going to try and get that presented to the Collingwood player at the end of the season, who wins that on behalf of my good mate who passed away last year, Daniel Nardella, and his nickname was Dipper, and so we're going to nickname the trophy. So we don't have to keep saying the Daniel Nardella MVP award. It's just going to be called the Dipper moving forward. I think is quite relevant. So we'll get that all done and dusted, and we'll be posting the leaderboards and stuff like that up throughout the year on all the shows. Boys, thank you so much for joining, and I'll catch you in about 3 weeks, and we'll reconvene and we'll talk about the first few games of the season.
See you, boys.
See you, boys.
Good night, all. Go Pies.
Great Pies.
Go Pies.